Or else. Or else. Well, good morning. There you go. With a pickle or two. Well, it's great to be with you. Good morning. I wish I could have joined for the whole worship. It's delightful to be here, so thank you for having me. I'm Kevin Solamon. I'm the Senior Associate Organizer with Common Ground. I know you all are very familiar with Common Ground. You're members of Common Ground. Many of you have come to events and are actively involved. So I was just going to spend maybe 5-10 minutes telling you about our new campaigns, and we can open it up as a dialogue from there if that sounds all right. Common Ground, as you know, had a big campaign to reform the housing authority. How many of you were involved in that? You came to assemblies for that? You supported that? Thank you. Great. We had, I'll just quick summarize, talked to thousands of residents in public housing across Milwaukee and heard terrible conditions, bed bugs, black mold, rats scurrying in walls, low-income senior citizens being treated with disrespect in their homes. And the tenants were really upset about it, and we decided that we were going to partner with the residents to reform that agency. The Housing Authority is the second largest landlord in Milwaukee, and boy, did we discover some problems. The federal government found fraud, waste, and abuse. We found seven executives of the Housing Authority who retired. The next day were rehired by a subsidiary agency and began collecting their pension when they weren't due their pension, taking over $1 million from our city's pension that they were not owed. We found that the City Housing Authority owed $10 million of debt to different banks and entities that they had hid that money. It just got worse and worse. And eventually we overhauled the whole agency, a new board, new executive leadership that really cares about residents first and foremost. It took 3 years. It took 277 news articles. It took front page of the Sunday edition Washington Post. It took a class action lawsuit from residents saying the bed bugs have got to go, but eventually we did it. So that was a great campaign that ended in December of last year. And so we've spent, yeah, sure, we can applause for that. I see. And many of you were involved in that, so thank you for your good work on that. So we spent the last 10 months between then and now doing a couple of things. Number one, building new relationships, in particular with the Catholic parishes on the south side, many Latino leaders in this town who haven't been in the public domain, haven't been advocating for issues that they care about. We've been building relationships with St. Hyacinth, St. Anthony, St. Adalbert, St. John Paul II Parish, and we have about 9,000 new Latino members of Common Ground who we've been spending time listening, group sessions, individual, what are the issues, what are the concerns? The other thing we've been doing is building relationships with the synagogues, trying to more and more live up to our name, being a multi-faith organization, and asking our Jewish friends, what are the issues that you want to work on? And so I'm excited to share with you 3 new campaigns that we're going to go public with either in the next 2 weeks or at the end of this year. The first is jury diversity. We have 2 county judges who belong to Common Ground member institutions, Milton Childs at Tabernacle Community Baptist Church and John Richards at Emmanuel Presbyterian Church, who approached us about the problem of all white juries when there's a black defendant. And they said, what can we do about this problem? We talked with our black clergy and black leaders about, is this something that we'd want to work on? And the answer was resoundingly yes. So we began studying this problem, jury diversity. We have a team that's been researching it for 6 months now. It's a multifaceted problem. The first question was, who's in the pool of eligible jurors? And it turns out statistically that population almost exactly matches Milwaukee County demographics, so that was not the problem. Who gets a summons letter? Well, that's a randomized algorithm, so that wasn't the problem. One of the big problems was response rate. In the white community, about 7% of people who receive a jury summons do not respond. In the black community, it's 44%. And in the Latino community, it's 26%. There's different reasons for that. We know poverty is a big problem. We know that many folks in the black community are working the low-wage jobs and their employers don't give them time off or pay the time to be a juror. We also know that tends to be that folks are evicted and moving. And so if you send a summons to this apartment and they've moved, then how are they getting it? We're honing in on 2 fundamental problems. 1, pay is inadequate. Right now we pay jurors $25 a day to be on a jury. How many of you have been on a jury? I'm curious. How many of you had a great experience on your jury? About a third of those. Okay, yeah. $25 a day. Yeah, let's say I work at McDonald's, who doesn't pay me to have time off to serve on a jury. Now I'm sacrificing about $180 to $210 a day. I get paid $25. Well, my parking's $14. My sandwich is $15. Now I'm in the negative by about $215 a day. If I, am a single parent and I have 2 kids at home and I have to pay the rent, how am I supposed to do that? So pay is inadequate. San Francisco raised the pay for people who are under a certain income to $100 a day, and they've seen their juries much more diverse. So we're studying, could we get some money to offer higher pay? The other problem is an education problem. I'll never forget at Community Baptist Church where we showed this documentary about jurors and had a great discussion. A couple of the folks said, I threw away my jury summons 3 times because I didn't think it mattered. But when you see that this is your power, that little as having one person of color on a jury can dramatically affect the outcome of that decision, this person, Terrence, said, I'm never throwing away my jury summons again. So we framed it as like, you have a duty, you should do this, as opposed to this is an opportunity to have power and decision making in your community. And so we're looking at, could we do a rebranding, could we do a marketing about what it means to be a juror. So that's the first thing. We're going public with the jury diversity campaign on November 14th at the law school. The law school is working with us, Dean Kearney, on this campaign. We'll have a panel, Supreme Court Justice Dalit, the district attorney, the city attorney, and us and some of our judges will go public with this problem. So that's the first campaign, jury diversity. And I'll go through all 3 and then any questions. The second campaign is called Tenants United. We're building a tenants organization. We have seen in Milwaukee that a lot of the landlords are really well organized. There's a super PAC, there are lobbyists, there's a lot of power there. And we have a ton of landlords in Common Ground. Let me be clear, there's nothing against landlords, but there's a lot of out-of-state big corporate landlords who do this primarily as their income source. And unfortunately, a lot of those landlords are not keeping up with the conditions in their properties and are not responsive to tenants. You might have known the book Evicted. Has anyone read that book by Matthew Desmond in 2016? That book in 2016, when published, we had 40% of Milwaukee area population were renters. Today, it's 58%. So that number has increased. We have more out-of-state investor landlords than any other city in the entire Midwest. And disproportionately, those landlords own properties in the near north and near south side, the Black and Latino populations in particular. So we've been studying this problem. What can we do about it? And we're looking at 2 first campaigns within Tenants United. One is, has anyone heard of Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins? The Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. Sounding familiar to some? Stephen Ross is the 126th richest billionaire in the world. He's the largest benefactor to the University of Michigan. And he owns an investment firm called Related Companies. I promise that's the name of it, Related Companies. Related Company owns 3 buildings in Milwaukee. We visited the 314 tenants at all of them. They're terrible. Leaky windows, mold, bed bug infestations. It's a lot of the same things we saw during the Housing Authority. And so we've been organizing the tenants to say, we want a residence council and we want to negotiate with you, Mr. Billionaire Ross, for improvements in our properties. So that's one campaign. The other campaign is with a private equity firm called Highgrove Holdings. Is anyone familiar with private equity generally? Heard of that term? You can invest in the public market. Many of us probably own stocks or bonds or mutuals. You invest in the public market. If you're really wealthy, you get invited by the SEC to invest in private equities, which are really only for really rich people. The private equity industry tends to help people who have a lot of money get even more money. And there are 3 companies in Milwaukee that use private equity money, 3 landlords. One of them is called Highgrove Holdings. So we've been investigating Highgrove Holdings. They own 260 properties in Milwaukee. 258 of them are on the north side. They are terrible. I cannot tell you how bad this is. I've seen a lot of Barada. I've seen a lot of other bad landlords. This is the worst of the worst. I'll share pictures afterward. Maybe we can distribute. I mean, blighted properties, porches falling down, lead paint chipping. Yesterday I met a woman who said, I have a 2-year-old, they have an asthma condition, unfortunately now have a sinus infection because of the mold in our bedroom. Ebony Martin is a tenant on 21st Street. Her ceiling fell on her, hit her in the head. She went to St. Joe's Hospital with a concussion. This was from the August 10th big rain. We called Highgrove together, her and me. They said on a Monday, we'll send somebody Thursday or Friday. No one ever came. It's been a month and a half, no one's ever come. She still doesn't live there, even though she has to pay rent. She pays $750 in rent. And she is just infuriated. She's called me last night crying, saying, I just don't know what else to do. I need to move, but I can't find somewhere. There's so many stories like this. We had a meeting with 25 Highgrove residents yesterday. Oh my goodness, the horror stories are everywhere. Meanwhile, Highgrove advertises to its investors that it promises a 10 to 18% return on investment. We did a call with him. He said, I do this because that's where you get good returns. Strangely, there's a lot of question marks here. They are apparently a woman-owned, minority-owned company. Mr. David Tomlin, the owner, is a white guy. We asked him about that. He said that we used to have a woman, she's in her 80s now, who was an executive with us. We said, what's her name? He said, I won't tell you that. It seems like this is just a scam. And it's happening in our backyard while they are getting their rich investors from out of state more and more money. Mr. Tomlin just sold his California home to move to a home in Washington State for $2.9 million. We're looking at strategies to hold him accountable and make sure he fixes his properties or get out of Milwaukee so that we can give it to good local developers like Axe Housing, who have said that they would like to own these properties and do right by the neighborhoods. That campaign we will go public with at the end of this year. The final campaign I'm going to tell you about is our Southside campaign. So as I shared, our Latino leaders have been listening, relating, asking people what are the issues. And the number one issue on the minds of our thousands of Catholic Latinos in the South Side is crime. Public safety is a terrible problem. I'm thinking of Jose Gonzalez, who will tell you that when the drug house across the street, when someone started shooting and the 15 bullets came through his window, 4 of them went into his son's bedroom, and he felt helpless on the ground with his whole family because he couldn't, as a father, protect his family. They had to move. They still don't feel safe where they move. We have heard so many stories like that. Strangely, crime is way up. If you study crime, it's not what they say in the media. We downloaded the police's own data sets for the last 20 years. And crime, assaults, homicides, shootings are all up almost 130% in the last 10 years. But get this, policing is way down. In the last 10 years, we've gone a decrease in 98.5% in subject stops, a decrease in arrests by 80%, a decrease in vehicle stops by 91%. If you ask the Latinos, they say, we want the police. We want the police to be in relationship with us and good community with us. We need them. What's happening? We see them only in their cars. They don't get out and interact with us. So we're studying this problem. We're going to go public on the 19th of October, saying that this is a big problem, and we're researching what could we do about it. A couple things are really clear. Crime is increasing on residential properties in particular, not city, not commercial. And they're not using their most powerful tool to hold landlords accountable to fixing problems on their properties, fixing crime problems, the nuisance ordinance. They're not using it. It's down like 197% use. Why are they not using the nuisance ordinance? That doesn't make sense. So it's a policy that allows the police to say, if you as a landlord have, or property owner generally, if you have 3 or more calls for service, crime, on your property, then we're going to demand a plan from you on how you're going to abate that. And if you don't execute that plan or you don't respond to us, then we're going to start billing you for the officer's response time to your property. It does exist, but they're not using it. In 2017, they filed 150 nuisance letters in the city of Milwaukee. This year, that just finishing August to August, 24 to 25, they only sent 40 of them. So why are they not using that tool?
Because, I live on 19th and National for a year now.
Yeah.
And actually, we said, why can't we put cameras on this? He said, we don't want, this is all of them now, we don't want them to have too much, like, watching us and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I live above a drug dealer, who is constantly traffic in and out. And I get threatened by my landlord, as a rental, that if I call again about something happening, it's a big nuisance property, and I'm going to turn it over. So the bottom line is, we want the state police and to anything when they visit the nuisance property. And they look the other way when the drug dealer with the certain car, who's 27,
Yeah.
tells them his story, and that they'll ticket me.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing your story. I'd love to talk to you more.
There's the reality.
We're studying this problem. We're meeting with the police to ask these hard questions. But here's the big thing. We're going public October 19th, in 2 weeks. We're going to have 1,000 people. 1/3 black, 1/3 white, 1/3 Latino at Serb Hall. And it's a chance to do a couple things. Number one, to show the new Latino members of Common Ground we got your back. Number two, to, after 10 months of a big campaign, to say, hey, Common Ground's bigger than ever. And I love the passage, we're united across all these lines of difference. I invite you to come October 19th. I have some flyers I can hand you. It would be great to have a presence from Village and from all the other 43 institutions of Common Ground to say, hey, we're together, we have common ground, and we want our city to be better across all these different issues. And so many more that we need to get to be clear. There's a million more. We pick one issue at a time, and we're going to keep, we've been around 18 years, we've taken on 35 major issues, we're going to do another 35 in the next 18 years. That's it from me. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm happy to stay afterward, but I don't want to just be at the front of the room talking for too much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.